Welcome back to Studio 5. It is easy to feel like life is in control sometimes, right? That life is whipping you around from one moment to the next, that life is moving so fast and you're just a victim along for the ride. Our next guest says the remedy for that frantic feeling is already within you. Studio 5 contributor Connie Sokol is an author and popular public speaker. She has 3 ways to get centered in your soul. I love this concept, and I don't want to turn people off because I think when we say feed the soul or get centered in the soul, mine goes to religion. And this is, religion aside, just centering and finding grounding gravity in your day.
Absolutely. And with that feed the soul thing, that very thing of what do we need daily to nurture our soul? Because like you said, and religion is a great go-to, and there's so many other things throughout our woven through our day, especially with family. How as mothers, especially, how can we get back to center, that good, I'm back at a peaceful, nurtured place?
And as I described that life frantic feeling that so many women experience on a daily, hourly basis, is it possible, Connie, to break through the stress and the craziness and the to-do list and really find that inner peace?
Yeah, I think it's vital that we do. I think we just get into such a mode of just reacting to life. And what can happen is that we build up, I feel like, this negative stuff, kind of like in a tube, but just this yucky negative feelings, kind of cluttered. And instead of you know, waiting to clear it all out, it's so good to acknowledge it during the day and just say, that was frustrating or that's annoying, and be able to acknowledge, I've got these negative feelings that are kind of cluttering my feeling about the day or my life. How can I get rid of those? Because that keeps us from being centered.
I like the visual of the tube because you're right, the negative starts to creep up until you're choking in it. I mean, literally it's consuming you. You say don't wait till that point. Do it on a daily basis.
That's right. First, be aware of what they are. Is it anger or hurt or resentment or bitterness or judging? All of those things hold us back, and they are like great big obstacle rocks in the road that just, it keeps us from moving forward. And I think I meet a lot of women and have issues with the past, and we all do. But how wonderful when we realize we can't change that, but we can acknowledge it and we can heal it. And as we do that, then our future becomes an open path. We get rid of that clutter and we can enjoy what's before us. And I remember listening to Hillary Weeks once talk about this rice experiment she did. One jar she put in one room that was all fluffy rice, the other jar, same thing, in another room, but they would talk nicely to the rice in this room and not talk nicely to the rice in this room. You are rice, you're only rice, you're only gonna be rice. And it was amazing. She showed pictures of the fluffy rice, happy, it's good. The other one got moldy and spotty, and I thought, that's what happens to our souls when we keep holding on to the negative.
What if you have a rock, as you describe it, a rock from your past maybe, or even from last week, I don't care, but you just can't let go of it, and it's weighing you down. Is there any way you can mentally just really release and really find that freedom?
Yes, and I think this is so huge, and especially if we do a physical action with it, if we acknowledge it, and then we write it on a paper and we flush it down the toilet. We attach it to a balloon and we just send it off in the air. When I was a missionary for the LDS Church years ago in the training center, our group leader, we're all being annoying that morning. And he was so smart. He stood up with a garbage can. He said, I want you to take a piece of paper and write down what's your biggest frustration right now. And we all went, write down. And then, I've got plenty to share. And then he took that garbage can and we all just chucked it in and said, let it go. And it's kind of our, Disney Frozen thing. I'm like, no, not that song again. But now, if you do that, you really do. It doesn't mean the next day you're like, oh, Pollyanna. It means you're saying there's a line and I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm working towards letting it go.
Which that physical act, I think, to a lot of women, and I would raise my hand to this, feels a little cheesy, but you say if you're one of those people that really can't get it out of your mind, can't get it out of your heart, try it, do it.
Oh, it is so important, and you cannot imagine the difference. I was having some struggles in the last few months with one issue, and I realized as I did that, I actually did a physical action to do with it, and just last week I had an experience where I had this negative response, and I laughed. Like, I naturally laughed when that negative response happened, whereas before I would have been, taking it so personally. It was like Teflon. I could just let that go, and it felt so good.
I love that, Teflon. Once we've kind of freed ourselves from the negative rocks that are holding us down, then you're open, you say, to receive other things, but you have to be aware of it.
Yes, make sure that you say, oh wow, I am open to receive what life has to give me and to pursue things that I want to do in this life. We each have a voice, and I feel so strongly about that. Billions of people on the planet. I feel like there's this huge global quilt of humanity, and we all add our 2 stitches. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's what we're here for. That's the fingerprint we put on life. So what is it that's your dream and your desire? Be aware. So when you keep that forefront, doesn't mean you're going to go out and but it means you keep it forefront so that you open those doors for life to respond to you. So stay open. And then if you can, do something physical with that too. I know Feng Shui and Asian decorating. I remember years ago learning that they believe in open containers. It shows that you are open to life. And so around our house, I have these open containers, which drive me nuts because it just collects dust. But I also believe it's collecting wonderful life experiences. And I look at things that I've experienced over the last 20 years and I go, wow, keeping those open containers going.
I love that. And the beautiful thing about being open when you're able to do so is sometimes life will turn you in a direction that you never even saw coming or didn't think was possible.
Yes, and that's the difference between saying, I have a dream and I want to do it, and then you're just rigid. This is how it's supposed to happen. If it doesn't, you don't recognize that it's being fulfilled.
Yeah.
Years ago, I wanted to write a book, and I had a picture on my wall at this cabin, cozy cabin, little lights in the wood, and I said, I would love to do 3 months in a cabin writing a book, you know, great American novel. And then a friend called me years later, I had it on my wall, and she said, I've got this $1 million cabin. I got it for you for 3 days for free. Do you want it? I'm like, yes. And I had 4 little kids. I'm like, oh, the choreography was horrible.
Yes.
But I did it, and I wrote the rough draft of, it was then Are You Ready for Life Change, and now it's Create a Powerful Life Plan. But I wrote the rough in 3 days, and it was a joyful.
It wasn't 3 months.
It wasn't 3 months. It wasn't like I thought it would be, and it wasn't like I thought I would have this magical, quiet, wake up and walk through the meadows. It wasn't like that, but it was wonderful, and it was adrenaline pounding, and it was freeing and liberating, and I thought, oh, I loved it, even though it wasn't like I thought it would be.
Ooh, I got little chills as you were describing that. Adrenaline pounding, that's what we all want and need. Robin Roberts, you said, had a similar experience where she wasn't expecting it but was open to receive it.
Yes, and that's another thing, is to make sure that you're focused on your true dream. Sometimes when you're pursuing something, people will pull you in this way and say, no, your dream is this, no, your dream is this. She's always wanted to be a sportscaster, and Robin Roberts is from Good Morning America, and she was focused on it, and then she had this opportunity to do American Gladiators, which was not the most highest brow, and so she was worried, but it was great money. And she talked to someone and said, will this hurt my chances? And he said, it's not going to hurt him, but it's not going to help him either. What do you really want? And she's like, I want to be a sportscaster. So she took a less paying job that ended up being a better opportunity to get what she truly wanted. And I have found that so often in my life. My focus has been on family first, and I've had all these different opportunities, and I've turned so many down, or I've said, hey, can you work it this way instead? And they've done it. They have worked with that so that I've been able to share, but still keep my dream, which is my family, and then helping women and families.
Yeah, but you have to be open.
And be open.
In order to be centered.
That's right, to say it's going to be done a different way, but I'm going to keep my focus clear.
I love this last piece of advice, to practice mindful living. And just that phrase is so beautiful, and I think so soothing in and of itself, mindful living.
Yes, and it's so hard to do, especially when you have lots of kids or lots of things going on like we all do, but it's connecting with your day through your senses all day long. Now, you're not sitting every second, oh, I'm feeling my senses, you know, exactly. But smell, taste, touch, pay attention to those different things. A friend just got in the car and her perfume was beautiful, and I was like, oh, that's yummy. Pay attention to those senses. A couple of weeks ago, here it's February, and my husband grew up on a farm, and he went, is that a robin? We were outside, bare trees, it's all barren, and we look at the way top, and sure enough, here's a robin singing in February, and we're like, wow, listen to this beautiful chirpy song. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Even at dinner, you could say, hey, did anybody see, taste, smell, hear something amazing today?
Those senses, tapping into those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that would be great.
Sometimes just being aware, too, of the scenery you see every day, looking at it with new eyes, you know, talking about those senses.
Yes.
Driving to work, I can see new things and new little details that I hadn't noticed before. And it's a centering moment. It really is.
Exactly. In fact, there's that quote, I don't know if we have time, but that Jeffrey Brantley from 5 Good Minutes, he says, despite its richness, the inner life with its thoughts, feelings, and sensations often goes unnoticed. But these drive and shape much of our experience unconsciously, moment by moment.
Amen. I love that. Connie, thank you.
Thanks.
Terrific topic. And if someone is looking, speaking of terrific topics, if someone is looking for a good spring book club pick, you have some materials to make that easy and make that happen.
I'm so excited with how this is going. Faithful, Fit, and Fabulous. If you want to do the program, 3-month version as a book club, you can get the book and we will give you free resources, teaching videos, podcasts, whatever we have to offer. It's awesome and it works. So give us a holler. It's email@conniesokol.com.
Talk about an enriching book club experience. That would be a fabulous one for spring. Connie, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.